as a personal component to my social change project on the minority group, disabled people, I've decided to share a personal experience which has happened, I'd say about 15 times with you as just I don't know, a human connection to my project. So I have a genetic condition called Ehlers-Danlos. It is rare, so it's hard to treat. Because of this, I'm not even sure how many surgeries. To improve my everyday life, to improve my quality of life, to help me get around, to help me get through school. And because of that, I got a note from my doctor saying that I will have this condition throughout my entire life. I have mobility issues. I will always have mobility issues, so I need a handicap placard that goes attached to my license, so it never expires, pretty much, is what it means. So I got that from my doctor, and I went to the DMV with my little official paper, and I had them attach it to my license, so when you look at my license, it shows that I have a handicap thing and all that stuff. And so I actually have a placard as well that I hang in my car when I park in handicapped spots, obviously. And so when you see someone park in a handicapped spot, you can usually tell that they are disabled, whether that means they're in a wheelchair, they have crutches, they have a walker, they have a seeing eye dog. I mean, it means that they have some sort of disability that requires them to park there. And the majority of people use their placards appropriately. Some don't, but the majority does. So when I'm in a wheelchair or a walker or anything like that, it's very obvious to strangers that I need to park there because I obviously cannot get from my car to the door if my car is parked a long way away. My illness is known as an invisible illness, which means that I look like a healthy teenager all the time. The only thing that sets me apart is if I have a brace on, my wheelchair, anything like that. So, me right now, I still have my disability, even though, like, I can walk right now. My disability doesn't go anywhere when my wheelchair does. When I don't have my walker, it doesn't mean my disability disappears too, and people don't seem to understand that. Which I don't blame them. Society kind of says that if someone doesn't have like an obvious disformation of their body, then they're not a disabled person. So when little old me drives up in my car, goes in a handicap spot when I need to, when I'm having trouble walking that day, puts on the handicap placard. Some people find it necessary to come up to me and berate me about how I am using someone else's handicap sticker thing to make my life easier. Which, the only thing they have right about that is that it is making my life easier because I need my life to be easier. I've had about 15 people on different occasions come up to me, whether that means just come up to me and ask if, it's actually appropriate for me to park there, all the way to scream at me for taking someone else's spot. And I find it amazing that people think that it's alright to come up to a stranger and scream at them when they don't know anything about what's going on in their life, and they don't know their medical history, and they don't know everything that's out there, and that it might not even cross their mind that Isabella Libby right here has a serious disability. So usually if someone comes up to me and they're actually trying to help, and they're trying to make sure that I'm not taking someone else's spot who actually needs it. And they say it nicely and that kind of stuff. I will explain what's going on. I will say, I have an invisible illness, I have a connective tissue disorder, like, here's what's going on. And then they'll be like, all right, I'm sorry, like, I didn't understand. I'll be like, no, that's totally fine. I totally understand where you're coming from. I see people who park in handicapped spots who don't look like they need it, and the reason I don't go up to them is because I am one of those people who doesn't look like they need it. But people who come up to me and scream in my face and get, like, all up in my face about how I am taking someone else's spot because I feel like a spoiled, I'm not gonna say a bad word, like a spoiled teenager, is ridiculous. I had one lady who came up to me, screamed in my face, didn't even ask me why I was parking there or whatever. I tried to explain it to her, and she just kept screaming at me. She pulled over a security guard to come take care of me, I guess. Which he came over, he asked what was going on, she told him her side of the story or whatever, and asked him to punish me for doing this. So then he came over to me and was like, what's going on? And I explained to him about my condition. I explained to him very calmly what was going on. I got out my license because the picture that is on my placard is the same that is on my license, so it shows that it matches up. I got out my placard from my car, I got out my license, I showed it to him, I said, you can look it up if you want, like, it's totally legal, I have a reason to be here, I have a reason for this, I'm not trying to use it inappropriately. Which everything ended up working out. But what I find amazing is that I didn't even get an apology from that woman. She just kind of scoffed at me and walked away. The security guard apologized for how she was acting, but I find it incredible, really, that people in general in our society feel that is an appropriate way to treat someone, whether they have a disability or if they don't have a disability. People who have a disability, yes, sure, go ahead, treat them nicer than people who don't, but people who don't have a disability should be treated just as nice as you treat people who are in a wheelchair or something like that. I just find it incredible that today's society sees that this is an appropriate way to get what you want, and that I don't know, I'm kind of appalled. And that keeps happening, and it will happen for my entire life, and that's something that I am prepared to deal with. But I think we need to get a message out there that if someone parks in a handicapped spot and they look like me, let's say, they're a 5'7" blonde teenager, that it's not your responsibility to go up and berate them about how they're what's wrong in society. Because that's really inappropriate and really disrespectful, and it needs to stop. Sorry, that was kind of a rant, but, so that's my personal piece. If you want any more information, follow-up, that kind of stuff, feel free to ask. Enjoy the other parts of my project, and thank you for listening.